we are going to be reviewing the Roblox Racing League of RRC. It's owned by Little Audi and is run every Sunday at 7 p.m. GMT. It follows the Formula One series and changes the era every couple of seasons. Before we continue, I would like to say apologies if I make an error. For example, if I name the wrong driver or team at some point, or if I put the wrong information. Sorry about this, I will try to fix it if it's pointed out in the comments. Here's the calendar for the season, and we'll be starting at the Australian Grand Prix. So let's just dive into the first round. Round 1 for the RRC Season 9 Championship is at the Australian Grand Prix. For the first round in qualifying, Dusika puts his Toyota on pole, followed by Formula Sam in the BMW Sauber and the McLaren of Morjack. Sev in the Renault will be starting outside of the top 10. We will see if he can get his car into the points. Polk made a mistake on his lap, so he'll be starting last. The round 1 of the RRC Championship was started. The P4 Phantom gets flipped before turn 1. Also Sev, who started on the outside line, decides to take the inside line into turn 1, which causes a big crash with most of the drivers. Still lap 1, something bad happened to Tail. He got thrown into the wall by Pizza Ben, and he was rejoined after that. Lap 3, Polk and Jack were in a battle. Polk got hit by Jack's car and he loses a position to Rob. Big incident which involved F. Josh, Jack, Rob and Legit. The P10 of F. Josh was under attack by Rob on lap 6. F. Josh kept his position for the moment. F. Josh later made moves on the P9 of Legit. He got past in the end. Lap 12, Seth had blue flags for the McLaren. He made a mistake, then got stuck into Mojak's car, and then took Solaris out. Both of the Renault drivers pit on lap 13, which causes a pile-up. Legit pits, but he sped, so he'll be getting a time penalty. Lap 16, Stig battled with Legit for P12. Legit made a mistake and Stig got caught up in the incident. Peter made moves on F. Josh. Peter already pitted, but not F. Josh. Peter gets past in the end. Jack hits off Rob's car on lap 20. Next lap, Rob makes a mistake and Jack gets through. Solaris and Sam are in a battle for P4. Sam is the first to pit. The leader of Tom pits on lap 24. Jack hit off Sev's car on lap 25. Rob made a mistake by hitting the wall and he loses some time. F. Josh is battling with Rikes for the last point. F. Josh gets past because Rikes made a mistake. Dusky wins the first round of the RRC Championship. Rikes just gets bet by Rob by him going backwards. Jack got really close to F. Josh for the last point, but F. Josh keeps his position. The top three are Duskia, Marjack and Solaris. Tail not having the best of races after he got stuck into the wall on lap 1, but he'll be happy with 2 points. Successful race for Darker, starting P6 and finishes P4. Rex finishes P11 after getting bet by Rob on the line, and Legit DNF'd. As you expect, the Java standings is the same as the race results for the top 8, and it'll be interesting to see how much this changes over the season. McLaren led the championship because both drivers finished on the podium. After the win by Duskia, he gets a lot of points for the team, and also Tail grabs 2 points after the first round. Round 2 is at the Malaysian Grand Prix for 29 laps with 3 pit stops. On pole is Duskia once again with Solaris 3 tenths behind, followed by Solaris' teammate of Marjack. Lewis in the Super Huguri gets his car into Q3 and he will start P6. Peter Ben sneaks into Q2 after a good lap in Q1. Sleepy in the Ferrari made a mistake on his first lap, so he'll be starting last. Lights out at the Malaysian Grand Prix. Lewis hits the car ahead, which slowed him down before turn 1. A few incidents into turn 1. Continuing on into turn 4. At the back, more drivers were involved in the incident. Lewis in the Super Huguri is making moves on Solaris. He gets past for the moment. Solaris lost the position to Rob. Solaris tries to get the position back. The pit window has opened and some go in. Very close between these drivers. Lap 7, Jack is making the moves on Rob. He goes very wide and Rob keeps his position. Solaris pits on lap 9. He is trying to get past Tail for P3. Lap 15, Solaris pits early. A lap later, Tail pits, who will come out ahead. Solaris did not get past, but there's still 14 laps left in the race. Lap 19. For P12, there's a battle between the Honda and the Ferrari. The Ferrari gets past. Last pit window, Phil and Knight pit together for P6. Phil goes out to the pit box and takes out Sleepy, and he loses a lot of time. Blue flags for the leader of Tom, with the Renault and Ferrari. Sev went backwards on the main straight, saves it, but Sleepy keeps his position for P10. Dusker winning again for this round. The race is not over, a three-way battle for P7 between Phil, Rob and Darker. Phil keeps his P7. As I said, Dusker wins with a comfortable gap of 17 seconds. Modric again finishing in P2, followed by Solaris, who got past Tell in the end. Lewis made his debut for this season and finishes P5. Unlucky race for Peter Ben, qualifying his car into Q2 but finishes out the top 10. A bit of a change compared to last race. Lewis, Knight and Phil move up into the top 10 after a good race. Dusker stays in P1 after 2 wins this season. McLaren stay in P1 but only a point between Toyota. Super Aguri gets an extra 4 points this round and moves him to P5. Round 3 is at the Bahrain Grand Prix with 29 laps and 3 pit stops. In qualifying, the 2 Toyotas lock out the top 2, followed by Formula Sam and Rikes. Knight, Sleepy, Sev and F. Josh qualified in Q2. Solaris never got into Q2 and he was starting P9. Jack and Darker made mistakes on their lap, so they'll be starting at the back. Dusker decides to take the inside line for the start of the race. The lights go off. Rikes loses a lot of positions before turn 1, being involved in an incident. Into turn 7, F. Josh gets taken out and loses a lot of positions. Lap 2, Toodles and Legit are battling. Toodles gets through. Solaris is trying to make moves on Toodles for P6. He gets past by using PTP. Poke made a mistake and took out the last place of F. Josh. Lap 6, Solaris is trying to get past Sev for P5. They get involved in an incident. Darker and Knight were in a battle. Darker keeps his position. F. Josh tried to get past Term but gets hit by his car and loses a lot of time. Lap 10, P7 of Reich's pits, and Darker gets past. A lap later, they got into a battle. Rex makes contact with Darker in the end. Knight makes moves on Darker. Knight later hits off Darker's car. Sev is making moves on the P6 of Toodles. Sev hits the wall and flips Toodles. Sev is under attack by Knight. Knight makes contact with Sev and Toodles gets past. Lap 14, Poke made moves on F. Josh. And F. Josh gets taken out by Poke. Lap 15, Sev pits. Toodles tries to get past Reichs, makes contact and loses time. Now is under attack by Knight. And Knight gets past. Lap 17, Toodles pits, and Sev stays ahead. Lap 20, the Jet gets past Term for P11. Same lap, Solaris makes moves on Sleepy. Sleepy gets spun out, and Drag gets through. Jack is battling Sev for P9. In the end, Jack gets through. Battle for P7 between Reichs and Toodles. Big incident involving both drivers. Reich stays ahead. In the closing laps, blue flags for Poke and Legit. In letting Dusk go past, Poke moves into P12 by getting past Legit. The battle is not over between Reichs and Toodles. Lewis moves up to P7. Now it's blue flags for Jack and Sev. Sev made a mistake and Jack gets through. Tom wins again with a massive gap of 25 seconds. Solaris got close to tail in the end, but tail keeps his P2. Perfect race for the Toyotas, 1 and 2 in qualifying, and then the race. Solaris had a great race, starting P9 and finishing P3. Ferrari is getting a lot of points this race, with Sleepy finishing P4 and Toulouse in P7. Unlucky for Sev, early on in the race, he was in the top 5, but dropped out throughout the race and he finishes P11. Daskia is running away with the championship, 12 points ahead of Solaris. Modric has retired from the season, so Great will be taking his place for the next race. Ferrari moves up to P5 after a successful race, and Toyota are running away with the championship and they are on 45 points. Round 4 is at the Turkish Grand Prix, with 28 laps and 2 pit stops. In qualifying, the new McLaren driver of Great gets into Q3 and will start P2 for the race. Lewis makes a return from missing around and qualifies his car on the second row. Also, the reserve driver of Triple gets into Q3 but made a mistake on his lap. Sleepy and Diogo set the same lap time, but Sleepy will start P6 because he set his lap first. Solaris again had a bad qualifying and he will start P16. We will be watching him go up the field. 5 lights were on for the Turkish Grand Prix. A lot of incidents at the back of the field. Solaris was also involved. Great hits off Tom's car and took out Lewis as well. The Torosso of Diogo uses PTP to get past. Great gets hit and goes onto the gravel trap. Not a good start for him. Contact with the Spiker and the Honda at the back of the field. Knight makes a mistake with Pizza right behind. And that pushes Dar wide. Lap 4, Great is making moves on Jack after he makes a mistake. Now is under attack by Poke. Great makes a mistake and takes out Poke too. Lap 8, Lewis and Triple are side by side. Triple dives into the pits. A lap later, Lewis makes a mistake and uses PTP to stay ahead of his teammate. Dar goes into the pits. As Poke was leaving his pits, he takes out Dar. Grit is now making moves on the P11 driver of Jack. He moves up a position. Lap 14, Lewis pits. 2 laps later is under attack by Grit. Grit gets a position. Rob makes moves on F. Josh for P7. And he gets past. Rob is now making moves on triple using PTP. He gets past but leaves no room for triple. Lap 18, Grit makes a mistake and is under attack by Jack and Lewis. Jack gets spun by Grit. Grit is trying to get his position back from Lewis. Grit gets past but leaves no room for Lewis. Both of the Reynolds make contact with Sev going wide for P15. Closing laps, Grit is making moves to get past triple. Makes contact with Rob and loses time. Next lap, Grit using PTP to get past F. Josh for the last point. Makes a mistake but keeps his position. Battle for P4 between Solaris and Sleepy. Sleepy hits off a lap car but keeps his position. Sleepy hits off another lapped car. Solaris makes contact with Sleepy but gets past in the end. Solaris keeps his position. Grit is making moves on triple for P7. Grit gets past. Here are the race results. Both Toyotas finished on the top steps. Surprise podium by Diogo in the Torosso, followed by Solaris and Sleepy. Had a lot of battling this race in the midfield, and Rob finishes ahead of him. Lewis had an unlucky race, starting P3 and finishes out the points. Also Knight DNF'd from the race. Dusker stretches his lead with a gap of 17 points. Speaking of Solaris and Tail, they are joint with points, and this will be a very interesting battle for the rest of the season. And Fari move up to P4 from P5, with Sleepy getting a good result here. Round 5 is at the Italian Grand Prix with 29 laps and 1 pit stop. In qualifying, Dusker once again is on pole for the 5th time this season, followed by the Ferrari driver of Sleepy in the team's home country. Let's see what he can do today in his Ferrari. In Q2, Rob put his car into P6 for the race. Also, the Torosso driver of Jack gets his car into Q2 for the first time this season. Tail in the Toyota will start P13, with him not able to get out of Q1. Also, Solaris for the 3rd time this season does not get into Q2, so he'll be starting P18. Round 5 for the Italian Grand Prix is on. A few incidents at the back of the grid. Some take the escape route. Sleepy is under attack by Lewis in the Super Higuri. Lewis moves up to P2 in the first lap. Phil had some problems, and Legit is making moves. Also, Rikes made a mistake, and he goes down the field. Phil uses P2P to stay ahead. Not the best start for Sleepy, and gets passed by Diogo. Jack and Great are battling. Now Great is using PTP to get past Legit. Going into lap 3, Diogo is under attack by Pizza. Pizza uses PTP to get past. Now Diogo gets past Lewis for P4. Pizza is moving up the field and is attacking Rob for P2. Craziness happened here, with Pizza standing on 2 wheels and landing it. But Pizza loses a position to Diogo. Sleepy later gets past Lewis for P6. Lap 7, Jack is trying to defend his position for P13 against Great. Great gets past for the moment. Great makes a big error. He was going to pit a lap earlier before the pit window, which opens on lap 8. He loses his position to Jack. Sleepy is now attacking Diogo for P3. Sleepy gets into P3 in his Ferrari. Lap 11, Solaris moves up to P4 after using P2P to get past Diogo, and now is right behind Sleepy. A few corners later, it seems Solaris made contact with Sleepy. He gets spun, but does not lose a lot of time. Lap 14, Solaris goes for a move on Sleepy. Looks like Sleepy made contact with Solaris and takes out Diogo when rejoining. Lap 17, Sleepy pits, and Diogo is right behind him for P4. Same lap, Diogo makes a mistake and that's a lot of time lost to Sleepy. Solaris pits on lap 18 with a good pit stop. He leaves the pits with a massive gap to Rob, who is in P3. Sleepy is making moves on Rob for P3. He gets past and now he's on the podium. Teo has been following Diogo for a few laps now. Tries to get ahead but stays behind for the moment. Then Diogo makes a mistake and knocks him up to P6. Legit is now attacking Jack for P11. Legit makes contact with Jack's car and there's a small pile-up at the chicane and loses 2 positions. Closing laps, Lewis has Teo right behind him. A lap later, this happened to Lewis. And Teo gets passed for P5. A lap to go, Term is under attack by Nitrous for P13. Nitrous hits a wall. Battle for P10 between Jack and Great. Once again, Dacia wins at the Italian Grand Prix. Great did in fact get past Jack for that P10. And also Sleepy gets P3 for home race for Ferrari. Here are the race results for the Italian Grand Prix. Interesting race with drivers using P2P to get past. One driver who had a fantastic day was Rob in the BMW Sauber. At the start of the race, he was P2 for a wee bit, and in the end he finished P4, so he must be happy. Solaris showing his amazing race skills. After starting P18, and finishes P2 ahead of Tail, which will overtake him in the driver's standings. But yet again, Dusky is on the top step with a massive gap of 26 seconds. After not having the best lap 1, Rex gets P8, grabbing him a point. And both Renaults finish last. We will see if they can get some points next round. Solaris stretches the gap between him and Tail by 4 points, but it's still possible for Tail to get P2 in the standings. Sleepy and Rob move up the top 10 standings, so they must be pleased. And here are the team standings. Toyota in P1 of course, with McLaren and Ferrari behind. Interesting battle is forming between the Ferrari and BMW Sauber, so we'll be watching that battle for the rest of the season. So we are halfway through the season. Next race is at the French Grand Prix for round 6, with 32 laps and 3 pit stops. In qualifying, Theo and Rex will start P2 and 3 for the race. Great qualifying for the Spiker drivers. Also a surprise Q3 appearance with Legit in the Red Bull. In Q2, both Renaults qualified P7 and 8, so we will see what they can do in the race. Solaris again got knocked out of Q1, so we will see what he can do in his McLaren for the race. Five lights are on for the French Grand Prix. Tail makes a mistake and drives straight into the other cars, and a couple of drivers get taken out. Before going into the hairpin, Toodles gets spun, but he doesn't lose a lot of time. The Honda of Peter Ben gets spun and loses a lot of time. Rob rejoins dangerously on track and takes out Sev, who was in P12. There's a massive battle involving Solaris, F-Josh and Tail for P11. Massive pile-up with Solaris getting through. Battle between F-Josh and Sam for P14. But Sam stays ahead for the moment. Sam is using PTP to get close to Tail. They are side by side. Something happened to Solaris and there was a pile-up, and Sam gets through. Though Tail slows down for some reason. The reason why Tail slowed down was because he hit off Sam's car and he loses positions to Solaris, Dar and F-Josh. Now he is side by side with Sev in the Renault. And he stays ahead. Let me go back and look why Solaris was next to Tail at the hairpin. Solaris was side by side with Tom going to the hairpin. Solaris went very wide, looked like he made some contact with Tom. Same lap, Sleepy and Pizza in a battle. Peter goes deep into the corner and goes into Sleepy's line and gets taken out. Lap 3, the battle for the podium is heating up. Reich stays ahead for P3. Battle for P11 between F-Josh and Sleepy on lap 4. There was an incident with Sleepy and F-Josh but Sleepy turns into his line and gets spun, loses positions to Tail and Solaris. So right after the incident, F. Josh makes moves on Dar, and gets through. Lap 5, Solaris is trying to get past Sleepy. Sleepy uses PTP to get past Turn 2. And now Solaris is stuck behind Turn for the moment. Moments later, Sleepy makes a mistake and Turn gets flipped by it. Later on in the race, Tail is trying to get past Poke for P7. On rejoining, Solaris gets taken out. Solaris is right behind the Red Bull now, who is legit. Solaris gets passed, but legit makes a mistake. Lap 7, the leader of Tom speeds into the pits, so he'll be getting a penalty. Sam is behind legit in the Red Bull. Sleepy just gets past Sam and makes contact with Legit, so he stays behind. It seems two drivers have disconnected in the closing laps of the race, Poke and F. Josh. Poke got rejoined, but F. Josh did not come back. Last lap, Dara and Jack are battling. He makes a huge mistake, but stays ahead of Term. Dusker in his Toyota wins again with 6 wins this season. Here are the race results. A surprise podium with Phil in the Spiker and Toodles in the Ferrari. Tail and Solaris done a fantastic job, starting at the back of the field and finishing P4 and 5. Poke gets 2 points for Reynolds this race, so he must be very happy. Bad race for Pizza, he started P6 and finished out of the points in P15. In the driver standings, Tail closes the gap to Solaris for P2. He will be hoping to get that P2 for this season. Successful race for Phil and Toodles, so they move into the top 10 in the standings. For teams, Renault moves to P9 in the standings, and also Spiker moved to P5. Successful race for some drivers and teams, seeing different drivers on the podium and in the points. Let's see what will happen in the next round.